Chapter 418, Go into Action. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Chang Kiki looked relieved when he saw Zhang Yuochen. He stabbed the sword back to the ground again and laughed loudly. Ha ha. Junior fellow apprentice Zhang, you are finally here. The eldest brother and I have occupied Fengling City. Although there are still other students in the city, they couldn't be counted as our opponents at all. Thus, we're the ruler here in Fengling City. He continued, our military merits have reached 100 points, so we've passed the third round of assessments. We decided to enjoy ourselves in the remaining 20 or so days. We would never have had such an opportunity back in the Saint Academy. We would be Buddhist lay disciples back there. Junior fellow apprentice Zhang, come and enjoy life with us. Tell us if you want any type of woman, whether a petite and dainty one, or if you prefer someone who's thick. We can surely send her to your bed before it gets dark. Chang Kiki patted his chest and vowed with confidence. The next moment, as soon as he saw Huang Yanshan come through the door, his excited facial expression crumbled and gave a hollow laugh. Well, Commandery Princess Yanshan is here too. What a coincidence. Huang Yanshan glanced at the surrounding sexy women with her clear blue eyes. She left a cold thought and said, men are really just no good. Once a man has enough strength, he'll expose all his evil habits. Chang Kiki smiled awkwardly and gestured with his eyes. Then, those sexy women immediately left. At the same time, Chang Kiki whispered with sound transmission to Zhang Yuochen, junior fellow apprentice Zhang, I'm sure I'll build a city and become a true city governor. By then, I'll seek countless beauties, and I'll invite you to my place and be my guest. Since the senior sister apprentice is here, we can only restrain ourselves today to avoid making her unhappy. Zhang Yuochen just smiled and didn't say anything. Huang Yanshan had profound cultivation, so she was certain that Chang Kiki was speaking with to Zhang Yuochen through sound transmission. She said coldly, senior fellow apprentice Chang, what are you saying that you can't say in front of me? Chang Kiki cracked a laugh and said, nothing, nothing. I told junior fellow apprentice Chang that I'll thoroughly rectify my errors. I'm determined to strive for martial arts and be an honest person. Huang Yanshan stared at Seek Sinkong and said, eldest brother, you've always been mature and reliable. How can you mess around with senior fellow apprentice Chang? Don't you know that the Five Elements primitive is extremely dangerous? Moreover, the Evil Wood Palace is only 500 miles away from Dark Splitting Mountain, so they may invade Fengling City at any time. How can you resist a king of masters with only your strength? Seek Sinkong's long hair was disheveled and he was still tasting wine. He laughed. Junior Chang and I have completely refined the dragon's blood, and before we came to the Five Elements primitive, our master gave each of us a treasure. So, with our strength, even if we can't defeat the King of Masters, it won't be difficult for us to escape. The master Seek Sinkong mentioned was the demi-Saint Alan of the Saint Academy. Seek Sinkong had always been a casual person, so he never forced himself to earn military merits by killing people. He would rather drink 2 more glasses of good wine than kill 2 more indigenous people. Huang Yanshan stamped her feet and got infuriated. She said, you've only accumulated 100 points of military merits. Don't you think that you can indulge in a life of pleasure and comfort without thinking about making progress? Why don't you strive for being listed on the Heaven Board? Chang Kiki sighed. It requires 10,000 points to be ranked on the Heaven Board. It's impossible to accumulate so many military merits in the Five Elements primitive world. Seek Sinkong said, in fact, Junior Chang and I dominated Fengling City in order to win a reputation. This way, you can easily find the place and meet up with us. Then, we could collaborate to attack and occupy Evilwood Palace and seize the purple cloud-patterned Eaglewood. Chang Kiki nodded eagerly and said, the eldest brother and I have already recruited 15 talented students. They now completely follow our leadership. Since you've arrived, we now have an extremely talented master. Now we can attack the Evil Wooden Palace. Zhang Yuochen squinted and said, are the 15 talented students reliable? Why did they choose to follow you? Zhang Yuochen was a little puzzled. After all, those students who passed through the first 2 rounds of the examination must be top geniuses in the eastern region. Chang Kiki and Seek Sinkong were not the descendants of Saint Gentry. How could those haughty geniuses be willing to yield to them? Chang Kiki laughed. Although we are talented and strong, as you said, those talented students are still not willing to submit to us, and there's nothing we can do since we're the students of Oman Ridge. Moreover, among 6 young kings of the new generation of the Eastern region, 1 is our junior fellow apprentice and 1 is our junior sister apprentice. Therefore, upon hearing our names, they immediately surrendered themselves to us and are willing to be our errand boys. Haha. Zhang Yuochen and Luo Shuaihan had already been household names in the Eastern region. They had become countless young warriors' idols. Correspondingly, Seek Sinkong and Chang Kiki's statuses grew, and with Chang Kiki's eloquent and persuasive tongue, a large group of talented students were cajoled to his side. Since they were able to follow 2 young kings, they would never need to worry about their future. Zhang Yuochen finally understood what was going on and laughed. We're certainly going to attack the Evil Wood Palace, but before that, there's still one more thing to do. Seek Sinkong looked seriously and asked, what's the matter? Help you improve your strength, Zhang Yuochen said. Chang Kiki sighed and said, with the help of our master, we have completely refined the dragon's blood. We've just reached the advanced stage of the heaven realm, so it may not be easy to advance our martial cultivation again in the next 20 days. Huang Yanjun also nodded. She had reached the peak of the advanced stage of the heaven realm for a long time. However, she had not yet reached the dawn state of the heaven realm. She seemed to be far away from the dawn state of the heaven realm. Zhang Yuochen took out a black glazed crystal weighted 5 kg and said, what if we had this? The 3 people simultaneously looked at the thing in Zhang Yuochen's hands. Although they had never seen the black glazed crystal, they could feel the aura of the most original and pure power of water nature emitted from the spine. Chang Kiki licked his lips and his eyes lit up, saying, is this black glazed crystal one of the most original spirit treasure in the 5 elements primitive world? Zhang Yuochen nodded. Having received an affirmative reply, Chang Kiki immediately swooped down on and grabbed the black glazed crystal from Zhang Yuochen's hands. He carried it in his arms and said with excitement, oh, my dear junior fellow apprentice Zhang, where did you find such a big black glazed crystal? Zhang Yuochen said, when I came to the 5 elements primitive world, I saw a pool, jumped in, and dug out a heap of spinels. What did you say? It's that simple. Chang Kiki stared at Zhang Yuochen with envy, jealousy, and hatred. He said, you're so lucky, junior fellow apprentice Zhang. Why didn't I find that pool? Surely no one can be as lucky as you. Zhang Yuochen said it like it was no big deal. However, Seek Sinkong did not think that it was so easy. Where there were treasures, there must be a savage beast. If Chang Kiki really met the pool and jumped down, he probably wouldn't even know how he died. Chang Kiki held the black glazed crystal for a while. In the end, he sighed and returned it to Zhang Yuochen, saying, what a precious treasure. I guess that you've only dug out few of these. I don't want it anymore. Zhang Yuochen smiled and refused to take back the piece of black glazed crystal. He moved his fingers and took out another 2 black glazed crystals that also weighted more than 5 kg from the storage ring. Then, he threw one to Huang Yanjun and Seek Sinkong each. Chang Kiki was very surprised. He doubted if they were actually black glazed crystal. How could such treasures be gifted so casually like throwing stones? Seek Sinkong was also shocked after receiving the black glazed crystal. He said, junior fellow apprentice Zhang, how many black glazed crystals did you get? Zhang Yuochen shook his head with a smile and said, feel free to refine as many as you can, and it depends on your strength. However, don't waste it. Anyone who wastes a gram of such a treasure has to be stupid. Chang Kiki sat on the ground, held a black glazed crystal, and immediately began refining. Huang Yanjun and Seek Sinkong also followed closely and began to refine black glazed crystals. Zhang Yuochen ordered the monster ape to stay in Duke's mansion to guard those 3. Zhang Yuochen left the Fengling city and rushed to the dark splitting mountain where the Evil Wood Palace was located. It took him half a day to find and seize a master of the Evil Wooden Palace. The master was a short thin man who looked like 50 or 60 years old. He had almost reached the initial stage of the Earth realm. In the Evil Wood Palace, he could be counted as a moderate master. Zhang Yuochen pointed his sword at his neck and asked, what's your name? Wu Teng, master. I'm Foreign Affairs Presbyter of the Evil Wood Palace. Are there some misunderstandings? Master Wu-Tang knelt on the ground and shivered with fear. There were no misunderstandings. "I'm looking for you." Zhang Yuochen took out 2 elongated wood caskets and threw them to Master Wu-Tang. "I want you to send these 2 caskets to Master Shenhai, the master of Evil Wood Palace. Can you do that?" "Yes, I can." Master Wu-Tang raised his head and carefully asked, "What's your name, sir?" "What are these things that you are sending to the palace master?" Zhang Yuochen said, "The 2 wood caskets contain the crystal wands of the Master King Mu and the Master Zuxin. However, they have already been killed by me." "What?" Master Wu-Tang was weak and limp with fear. There were only 4 masters in the Evil Wood Palace, and Zhang Yuochen had already killed 2. Zhang Yuochen said, "Tell Master Shenhai that I'm Zhang Yuochen." 10 days later, "I'll wait for him in the Crescent City. I hope to have a fair fight with him." "Oh, okay." Overwhelmed by Zhang Yuochen's imposing manner, Master Wu-Tang immediately lowered his head with his face pressed against the ground. When he looked up again, Zhang Yuochen had already disappeared. Where did he go? Just who in the world is he? Is he even human? Master Wu-Tang wiped the sweat from his forehead. He kept eyes fixed on the 2 wood caskets and opened them. Surely, he saw that in there were the 2 crystal wands of the Master King Mu and Master Zuxin. However, the 2 crystal wands had been broken. Master Wu-Tang immediately closed the 2 wooden caskets, held them in his arms, and hurried to the Evil Wood Palace.